Ah, Undertale. Mercy or kill. Befriend every kind of monster or kill them all until you become a soulless psycho. If you watched our 107 Facts, you'll know Undertale's biggest influence is Nintendo's cult RPG, Earthbound. Yep, the one featuring that mysterious kid from Smash Bros. With the striped shirt, cool bat, and psychic powers.
Both games share the same DNA, a profound story, a kid protagonist, their visual style, all the wacky enemies, even the soundtracks are similar. How does Undertale stand in front of its mother?
Hi, I'm Joe with the Leaderboard, and we are comparing Undertale with its gaming ancestor, Earthbound.
Gather your soul, your determination, and the good vibes from the friends you met in your adventure, because we're starting a wild journey across dimensions full of monsters, aliens, and psychic powers. We're dissecting both games in full detail. This is Earthbound versus Undertale. Let's get started. The origins. Earthbound wasn't exactly an indie game, but more of an underappreciated title by Nintendo. It was just too ahead of its time. Released for the Super Nintendo in 1995, RPGs weren't as popular in the US, apart from classic titles like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI. Many thought Earthbound looked too childish, and they disliked its real-world setting instead of ancient fantasy.
Earthbound also sold for $70 since it came with a ginormous strategy guide and some scratch-and-sniff stickers, which, we might add, intentionally smelled like trash for marketing purposes to poke fun at the fact that the game stank. Good strategy?
Unfortunately, the game had poor sales, and it wasn't until much later that Earthbound's popularity took off, thanks to some loyal fans. 20 years later, Undertale became one of the biggest indie game sensations, and everyone was playing and talking about it. Even the Pope has a copy of the game. Thanks to a bombastically successful Kickstarter campaign and a budget of $50,000, the quirky RPG amazed players, critics, and even festivals, thanks to its low-key but charming graphics, its unforgettable lineup of monsters, and a moral battle system that broke our hearts. It was deep, dude. Real deep. The creators. A celebrity versus a hermit. While sharing similar sensibilities and a goofy sense of humor, the creators of Earthbound and Undertale couldn't be more different. Earthbound is known as Mother 2 in Japan, since it's part of a bigger franchise. It was the second game of the Mother trilogy, created by Shigesato Itoi, who designed and wrote all 3 installments.
It was the only game in the Mother trilogy that was released in the States, until years later in 2015, when Mother 1 was released in the US as Earthbound Beginnings for the Wii U Virtual Console.
Shigesato Itoi may not be famous here, but he's an absolute celebrity in Japan. He's truly a Renaissance man, famous publicist and writer, talk show host, chief editor of one of the first digital newspapers, and voice actor for Studio Ghibli. You might know him as the father in Totoro.
Meanwhile, Toby Fox is the epitome of the obscure indie game creator.
A chill, funny, and geeky guy in his early 20s who likes to work on his own stuff while remaining anonymous via sunglasses and his annoying dog avatar. He's not particularly fond of interviews and prefers his games to speak for themselves. In Fox's words, Earthbound was a cornerstone of his life. It's the game he's logged the most hours in as a fan, although he admits Smash Bros. Melee is great too, and we agree. So it shouldn't surprise us that one of Toby's first gaming projects was his spine-chilling Earthbound Halloween hack, set after the events of the endgame in an alternate timeline infested by horrendous creatures. Lots of fans have pointed out its similarities with Undertale's scary True Lab portion. Special kids with striped shirts. Both games know that kids are special, especially if they're silent kids with striped shirts, psychic powers, and enough determination to save or ruin the world. In Undertale, you're Frisk, the 7th human that fell into the underground. You decide if you want our hero to become a serial killer or a serial friender. Choosing a path has irreversible consequences, since the game remembers everything you do in all your playthroughs, no matter how many times you reset. If you take the genocide route, your soul is corrupted forever, so maybe be nice instead. In Earthbound, we have Ness, a boy with latent psi powers and a fixation on baseball bats and caps. But he's a humble, relatable kid. He gets tired and lost, adults seem to overlook him, and he gets homesick during the game, which can only be cured by calling your supportive mom and Onette. In fact, you save by calling your absent dad, who always gives you a cheerful message and some cash. Because that's the real purpose of parents, right? I'm kidding. Mom, Dad, I love you too. Sidekicks and BFFs. Some people argue that Earthbound's first few hours are a bit tough, but the game's prophecy says 4 special heroes will save the world. So, everything changes when you get to Tucson and rescue your beloved psychic friend Paula from a crazy cult obsessed with the color blue. And finally, you're not alone. Paula joins you with her ready-to-use frying pan as a weapon. So take that, Tangled. Earthbound was first. Later, Jeff, a scientist kid who can cook up powerful inventions, and Pooh, the crown prince of Dalem who kicks butt in martial arts, join you on your journey. At some point, you realize it was about friendship all along. Aww. But in Undertale, it's entirely your choice if you want to be alone or not, and who you become pals with. One of the most charming parts of Undertale is befriending all the awesome monstrous bosses and side characters in the underground. You learn the basics with Tutorial Mom Toriel, solve puzzles and briefly date Papyrus, have an intense dinner with Sans the prankster, chat about anime with the obsessive Dr. Alphys, and burn a whole house after trying to cook with the steadfast Undyne. Our favorite moment? We have a soft spot for the melancholic ghost Napstablock, and lying on the floor with him to feel like garbage was ethereal. Whoa. Undertale pays homage to Earthbound in the design and game mechanics of some characters.
For instance, the clumsy robot is a big inspiration for Metaton.
Ever noticed how you need to flip their switch in both battles? And some fans argue that the Starman logo is on Papyrus' chest, although the biggest nod is probably Mr. Saturn versus the Temmies. The Mr. Saturn are these adorable, peaceful, and maybe alien creatures with big noses, whiskers, and a cute boat. They habituate Saturn Valley in Earthbound, and their language is amusingly outlandish. A toy himself designed the font based on this. Plus, they're genderless and arguably the purest incarnation of innocence. I kinda want one. In Undertale, we have the Temmies. Hidden deep in Waterfall, you can find the Temmie village, which is full of hyperactive dogs? Puppy cats? Seriously, what are the Temmies? They have beautiful long dark hair and wear blue shirts. They talk like crazy internet-obsessed weirdos, they're allergic to each other, and they have the only shop where you can sell items in the whole game. And if you have enough monies, you can pay for the Temmie shopkeeper's college education. Good on them for wanting the best education. The Battle of the Battle Systems. This is a toughie. Undertale's battle system is hands down amazing. The idea of mercy in an RPG was revolutionary and became the main hook for the game. In fact, Fox came up with the plot for Undertale after developing the battle system in Game Maker. Not to mention, every battle involves a different attack scheme, which makes surviving so fun and rewarding, and sometimes frustrating. And what makes Undertale even more special is that every monster has its own backstory, personality, and behavior. You end up loving guys like Aaron, Childrake, or Sunderplane, plus all the dog enemies. I want a pet lesser dog. But credit where credit is due. Earthbound's battles introduced a whole new level of weird never seen in RPGs before. Here's some of our favorite enemies in Earthbound. Skate punks, overzealous cops, cranky ladies, new age retro hippies, cute little UFOs, smelly ghosts, a big pile of puke, scalding coffee cups, evil mushrooms, mad taxis, abstract art, psychic psychos, and that's just a few of them. Also, you receive damage in real time, which turns a simple action like recovering HP into a race against time. Its status conditions are pretty wacky too. Ever get mushroomized? EAGLELAND versus the Underground. The peaceful eeriness of the ruins, the warmth of Snowdin, the mysteries of Waterfall, Undertale is contained. Its few but charming locations allow the monsters to live beneath the surface, while a magical barrier keeps them apart from humans. Undertale is aware of its map limitations because it's a small game focused on character. But with 40 hours of gameplay, Earthbound is an explosion of cities, landscapes, and levels beyond space and time. Ness explores a whole country named EAGLELAND, a parody of the United States of America. During your journey, you explore places like Moonside, an upside-down neon dimension where everything is just so weird, full of people talking backwards, bizarre flying enemies, and the trippiest soundtrack ever. Not to mention Magicant, a physical manifestation of Ness's mind. Even Brick Road turns from character to dungeon, thus becoming Dungeon Man. We'll never forget the sense of wonder and adventure when you first wake up after hearing an ominous falling star and explore the meteor landing accompanied by creepy alien music. It's the same sense of adventure as leaving the ruins for the first time and venturing into Snowdin and meeting its font-named skeleton duo. Both are epic. Themes and philosophy. Undertale defied the biggest convention in gaming. Why should we kill our enemies? Could there be another path? We have a confession. After completing the true pacifist route, we haven't been able to play the genocide one. It's too painful. Undertale made us adore every monster and the inherent good in them. It's a game about empathy, kindness, and unconventional love. Quoting Toby Fox himself, hearing Undertale made me want to be kinder, or Undertale helped me through a dark time, feels more valuable than any award or score. Meanwhile, Earthbound gets existential but remains absurd. For instance, Buzz, a bee from the future, is the one who tells you about the prophecy. A bit odd, but it gets weirder. Shortly after, the single swiped from a neighbor kills Buzz. Oops. You also discuss the impending collapse of capitalism with a philosopher and later question the meaning of life with a random dude trapped inside a bathroom. You know, the usual chit-chat. But Earthbound doesn't only joke about death, it shows its heart and soul during the final boss battle. Final bosses that break the fourth wall. This is probably our favorite thing of both games, how they break the fourth wall and make you part of the adventure. Earthbound does it a lot. You fight a cop who suggests that you should play video games instead of facing authority. You stand 3 minutes without pressing a button to solve a puzzle, and your absent dad tells you on the phone to stop playing and relax. That's so Nintendo. But the mother of all wall breaks is in the last battle with Gygus, one of the most epic final boss fights of video game history. Gygus is the embodiment of evil and is a universal cosmic destroyer who wants to plunge mankind into eternal darkness. You fight Gygus in a nightmarish dimension where you can't even grasp the true nature of his attacks. After receiving the goodwill from all the people Ness met on his adventure, the game directly asks the player, that's you, to pray in order to defeat the evil. Does this sound familiar? It's obvious Fox had Gygus in mind when designing Flowey the Flower. In the neutral run, Flowey turns into a terrifying abomination able to control your save file and kick you out of the game. And when you fight his true form in the pacifist run, you use the commands Hope and Dream. But in Undertale, your friends don't save you. It's your turn to do that. The only way to save their souls is by literally saving the game. And then you save Flowey with a tender hug. Oh god, I'm not crying, you're crying.
Let's face it, without Earthbound, we wouldn't have games as cool as Undertale. Feeling inspired yourself? Maybe you'll create the newest sensation. So grab your friends and start working on your first indie game based off your favorite title. After all, since Earthbound has inspired a whole generation of gamers and storytellers, it wouldn't be a surprise for Undertale to do the same.
Once again, I'm Joe, and thanks for watching Earthbound vs. Undertale. Have you played both games? What did you think? Let us know your favorite characters and moments in the comments below. And if you like the video, use your determination to smash that subscribe button to absorb all of our latest content. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad.
Thanks for joining us with the Leaderboard, where we help you game smarter.